the lies beneath the button. Have you ever finished filling out a form on a website and realized you accidentally opted into deluxe purchase insurance and the newsletter? Or when you were trying to download a file, did you click on one of those big ads that say start download and end up subscribed to a porn cam channel? Let me introduce you to the reasons behind your poor choices. Dark patterns. What exactly are they? Harry Brignall, a UX designer, first coined the term dark patterns in August 2010. Dark patterns are deceptive UX UI interactions designed to mislead or trick users to make them do something they don't want to do. In order to generate more sales, get subscriptions, and hit target numbers in transactions, etc., designers and businesses associated started creating deceiving user interfaces to manipulate users. So some of the common patterns I will be going through: bait and switch, confirm shaming, disguised ads, false continuity, trick questions, roach motel, sneak into basket, and friend spam. Bait and switch. In this type of pattern, the user thinks that her action will have one outcome, but instead a completely different, undesirable outcome occurs. Perhaps the most famous example of bait and switch is Microsoft's misguided approach to getting people to upgrade their Windows OS to Windows 10. Most users know that when they see a pop-up window, they can press the X here at the top right corner to close the window, and that by doing that, they also say no to the question pop-up. However, quite surprisingly, in Windows 10 dialog, clicking on the X, that one, resulted in the upgrade being initialized, a completely unforeseen result for the majority of users. Confirm shaming. Confirm shaming is the act of guilting the users into opting into something. The option to decline is worded in such a way as to shame the user into compliance. The most common use is to get a user to sign up for a mailing list and is often found in exit intent modals and other pop-ups. In the screenshot, Amazon uses confirm shaming to guilt users and discourage them from opting out. I mean, no thanks, I don't want unlimited one-day delivery, said no one ever. So disguised ads. Disguised ads are tactics when advertising banners are displayed as the rest of the content on navigation, buttons, sliders, or registration. Their main role is to confuse users and get them to click on the ad. It makes you question which is the download button is the real one. Not so clear, is it? The download button gets lost in between the fake download buttons. As you can see, recommended download, download now, and the actual download doesn't even have a download word in it. False continuity. It starts so nicely and peacefully. You found great service and you decided to sign up for a trial. When signing up, you were asked to provide your credit card information. Not a big problem as it's a free trial. After some time, you checked your billings and it showed that this company secretly deducts a fee each month from your credit card. How come? You didn't get any notifications beforehand. This pattern occurs when your free trial with the service ends and you quietly get charged without warning. You can see here, it's $14.95 per month after 30 days. So most of the people just ignore that 30 days and don't actually unsubscribe. Trick questions. While filling in a form, you respond to a question that tricks you into giving an answer you didn't intend. When glanced upon quickly, the question appears to ask one thing, but when read carefully, it asks another thing entirely. This is very common when registering with the service. Typically, a series of checkboxes is shown, and the meaning of the checkboxes is alternated. So that ticking the first one means opt out, and the second one means opt in. Confusing language is often also used. As you can see, usually you either don't click it or you just click it and you go on. You don't even bother reading it. Roach Motel. Brilliantly named and cleverly carried out, Roach Motel is the modern online version of a maze that's extremely easy to get in, but almost impossible to get out of. The common use of a Roach Motel pattern is when trying to cancel a subscription, downgrade a subscription, deactivate or delete an account, or unsubscribe from a mailing list. One of the main objectives of this services or apps is trying to maximize existing user retention, thus applying difficult tactics in order to make it harder for users to act in any way to counter the aims of the service. Sneak into basket. You attempt to purchase something, but somewhere in the purchasing journey, the site sneaks an additional item into your basket, often through the use of an opt-out radio button or a checkbox on a prior page. I actually went here and I got the nice flowers and they added the greeting card without me even noticing or clicking on it. So friend spam. This type of dark pattern relies on getting access to your contacts through email or other channels and exploiting your network to sell a product. This technique was involved in a lawsuit where LinkedIn had to pay a fine of $3 million. LinkedIn tricks its users to give access to their contact list on the pretext of giving their career a strong network. Eventually, LinkedIn pushed unsolicited emails to the extended network of people claiming that their friends invited them to join on the platform. And I do think everybody has been part of this one. I know I've received quite a few emails and messages from LinkedIn. So yeah. Privacy zuckering. You are tricked into publicly sharing more information about yourself than you really intended to. This is named after the CEO of Facebook because they were one of the first companies to actually implement it, and they take all your personal information. Misdirection. This design purposefully focuses your attention on one thing in order to distract your attention from another. Misdirection is the sneakiest type of dark pattern because it exists in gray area. This sort of tactic is commonplace because it's harder to outlaw. In the screenshot, you can see how the add to basket of donation green button appears to suggest moving forward to the next stage of the checkout. The colorless without donation button points backward, leaving the unobservant user to assume this is some sort of back arrow to return to a previous page. Invisible opt-out. This pattern is pretty simple, but is very dirty. The design deliberately changes the standard link style in order to make the opt-out option look like a simple text. When the opt-out doesn't look like it's clickable, more like people are likely to miss it, more people bind it to the product. As you can see here, it's gray, it's barely even clickable, and these options are so in your face, like, please opt in, don't opt out, don't not opt in, but opt out, please. So, what does the law say about it? So far, there have been some attempts to tackle dark pattern design. In the European Union, which tend to be at the forefront of customer and privacy protection, the Consumer Rights Directive, enforced in the UK, outlaws the sneak into basket dark pattern. Then, in the United States, the Detour Act seeks to curb manipulative dark pattern behavior by prohibiting the largest online platforms, those with more than 100 million monthly active users, from relying on user interfaces that intentionally impair user autonomy, decision-making, or choice. So, what to do about dark patterns? When dealing with dark patterns, the bad news is that companies have teams of people dedicated to testing and experimenting on what techniques get the most desirable response. And you're just a user. The good news is that education is a powerful tool. If you know what cognitive biases are and the kind of tricks that can be used to change your mind to persuade you to do things, then you're less likely to have them trick you. Brignall, the Harry Brignall but coined the term dark patterns, explained. Brignall also recommends calling out companies publicly. A difficult experience canceling a subscription might help make a few bucks in the short run, but if a site is called out for misleading customers, they might take steps to correct the design in order to keep the customers happy. Complaining quite vocally is a very good thing. So don't complain by email when no one can see it, because you'll just get thrown away. If you complain in public, you're more likely to get a faster and more efficient response. Dark patterns are everywhere, and while not every attempt to manipulate a user's behavior is harmful to a user, it's always important to be aware that a company's goal won't always align with your own. So there's actually a website dedicated to dark patterns. They have their own Twitter feed at Dark Patterns. I want you guys to go check it out. I was very surprised when I actually went there. It's surprising how many people trick you. So what we as developers can do. When designing a website, keep the following in mind. Define task and experience goals. So if you focus design effort primarily on the user's task or goal, you can avoid meaningless design tricks that just maximize clicks. Embed decision-making tools. Teach UX principles to your designers and product managers. Empowering design teams to spot and avoid dark patterns means fewer interventions later in the process. And then test the waters. Plan to survey or check customer service reports for patterns of mistakes or frustrated expectations. If a significant number of people report frustration or surprise at the behavior of a particular interaction, that's a great sign your design is having unintended negative effects. So, in the end, the experience the user has with your website is what ultimately matters. If the user doesn't feel tricked at the end of their journey on the website, it means you did something right. Thank you.